The classroom revelation. The quiet hum of the classroom's air filtration system was interrupted by the shuffling of data pads and the subtle rustle of students adjusting in their seats. Miss Ricky, a professor from the planet Quora, stood at the front of the room, a faint glow from her data display highlighting the intricate patterns on her smooth slate gray skin. She was known for her structured teaching style and unflinching dives into even the most challenging topics. However, today, she was caught off guard. A young Jin student raised a hand, her mask delicately adorned with floral engravings that softened the sharp angles of her species' predatory visage. Miss Ricky, is there a reason why humans are so murdery? The question hung in the air, drawing curious glances between the diverse alien students seated around her. The term felt crude yet oddly fitting. Miss Ricky paused, placing the physical copy of Humanity's Bloodlust, an analysis of death world psychology, onto her desk with deliberate care. "I'm sorry, could you repeat that?" she asked, buying herself a moment to consider how to broach such a complex topic. The Jinn straightened, her forearms resting on the desk. "You've been explaining their wars, their famous murders, their coups, and the destruction of the Damer. But why are they like this? Why are humans like that?" The room fell silent. Some students leaned forward in anticipation, their elongated forms and multi-limbed postures betraying their various evolutionary traits. Miss Ricky surveyed the room. Every face, furred, scaled, or smooth, seemed to reflect the same burning question. Taking a deep breath, Miss Ricky began. "That, my dear student, is a difficult question to answer, more so because of its simplicity." She gestured toward the wall display and tapped a small control embedded in her desk. The display flickered to life, showing a recording of two human toddlers play fighting with sticks. Their giggles and mock battle cries filled the room. The students exchanged puzzled glances, some leaning in for a closer look. "Humanity may not be the most violent of the star's children," Miss Ricky continued. "The Damer hold that distinction. But within the Confederation, humans are unparalleled in their capacity for violence. What you see here is not an uncommon sight among their young, children engaging in what humans call rough and tumble play. They wield sticks like weapons, mimic combat strategies, and even feign injuries. And they do this instinctively." A Carlin student raised her long neck, her jewelry catching the light as she spoke. "Instinctive. Even our young Carlin engage in what you might call play, but it is for bonding, not this." Miss Ricky nodded. Indeed, many species encourage playful interactions to build social structures. However, human children seem drawn to combat as if their very biology demands it. They call it a game, but it serves a deeper purpose. It hones skills, builds resilience, and prepares them for conflict. Traits their ancestors needed to survive on a world that actively tried to kill them. The display shifted to another image. A line of human children forming a makeshift battalion with trash, cannelids as shields and sticks as swords. Their faces were alight with excitement and focus. "This image was captured by a Poe visitor on Earth," Miss Ricky explained. "The Poe, as prey-evolved creatures, found it both fascinating and unsettling. These children weren't taught this by adults. They learned by observing, mimicking, and adapting." A male Ural, his butter-yellow fur glowing faintly under the display's light, raised a paw. "Why would their parents allow such behavior? Shouldn't children be nurtured in peace to develop without the shadow of violence?" "That is a perspective shared by many species," Miss Ricky replied. "But humans view it differently. They believe such play builds boundaries, teaches control, and prepares their young for the realities of their harsh world. Most parents intervene before things go too far. They see it as an opportunity to instill lessons about when to stop and how to respect others, even in conflict." The room buzzed with whispered discussions, but Miss Ricky wasn't finished. "This drive, this predatory instinct, isn't just a relic of their evolution. It has been reinforced by thousands of years of warfare, struggle, and survival. Humans are predators, not in the way the clean or the Ural hunt, but in how they approach the world. They strategize, adapt, and dominate their environment. Even their play reflects this. She tapped her display again, showing footage from the Confederation archives. In it, a human soldier could be seen rescuing an alien child from a collapsing building during the war with the Damer. When an enemy combatant attempted to use the child as a shield, the soldier's response was instantaneous, a clean, lethal strike that neutralized the threat without hesitation. This is why the galaxy respects and fears humans in equal measure, Miss Ricky said. Their capacity for calculated violence is unmatched, and their commitment to their moral codes makes them both dependable allies and fearsome enemies. A quiet hush fell over the room as the students processed this revelation. Then, a brave Ural student raised her paw. "And the last type?" she asked, her voice tinged with dread. Miss Ricky's expression turned grim as the hologram displayed the final image, the mugshot of the woman in the orange jumpsuit. Her smile was eerie, her eyes cold and detached. "These," Miss Ricky said, "are the rogue predators. The outliers. The monsters hiding among the stars." She paused, letting the weight of her words settle before continuing. "Unlike the first two types, rogue predators kill for pleasure, for power, or simply out of boredom. They are driven by an insatiable hunger for chaos, and they view life itself as a game to be manipulated." The display shifted to scenes from Confederation security feeds, a human woman charming her way into a secure facility before ruthlessly dispatching her victims, another blending into a crowd, vanishing after leaving a trail of destruction. "These individuals are rare, but their impact is devastating," Miss Ricky said. "They operate in shadows, exploiting the trust and goodwill humanity has built. They are the reason some species in the Confederation still look upon humans with suspicion." The students stared at the images, their expressions a mix of fear and awe. One finally asked, "If these rogues are so dangerous, why does the Confederation tolerate humans at all?" Miss Ricky's expression softened, because for every rogue predator, there are countless reluctant and judicial killers. Humans, as a whole, are creatures of extremes. Their capacity for violence is matched only by their capacity for kindness, loyalty, and sacrifice. To dismiss them entirely would be to ignore the best of what they have to offer. The hologram dimmed, and Miss Ricky folded her hands. "And that," she concluded, "is the nature of predators. They are not defined solely by their capacity to harm, but by the choices they make, and humanity, for all its flaws, has made choices that have shaped the galaxy in profound ways." The classroom fell silent, each student grappling with the realization of what it meant to share the stars with Earth's children. The Warrior's Code. Miss Ricky let the classroom's silence linger, the weight of her previous words still pressing on her students. She gestured again to the holographic display, which now flickered with a new set of images. Ancient human warriors clad in crude armor, medieval knights charging into battle, and modern soldiers operating in synchronized precision. The students' eyes darted between the scenes, each one a stark reminder of humanity's long-standing relationship with conflict. "Let us now delve deeper into what I call the Warrior's Code," Miss Ricky began, pacing slowly before the class. "While humans are often perceived as chaotic predators, they are not without structure or principle. In fact, their sense of honor, justice, and morality often governs their actions, even in the heat of battle." She tapped the display, pulling up an image of a soldier crouched in a battlefield, his arm outstretched toward a frightened alien child hiding among the rubble. The soldier's face was obscured by a helmet, but the calmness in his posture spoke volumes. This was taken during the war with the Damer. Here, a human soldier risked his life to rescue a child of the Ural race. A child who, moments before, had been used as bait by the Damer to lure the humans into a trap. The Ural students in the class stiffened, their fur bristling at the thought of such a cruel tactic. One raised her paw tentatively. "Did the human succeed?" Miss Ricky nodded solemnly. "He did. The child was saved, though at great personal cost. The soldier sustained severe injuries but refused to leave the child's side until reinforcements arrived. This act of bravery exemplifies the human concept of honor. They value life, even when it is not their own. She paused, letting her words sink in before continuing. But honor is not the only component of their code. Humans possess a unique sense of moral justice that shapes their actions. They operate under what they call protocols, unspoken rules that dictate what is acceptable and what is not. These protocols are deeply ingrained, often formed during childhood. She tapped the display again, pulling up an image of Earth, its vibrant blue and green hues a stark contrast to the cold, metallic hues of the station they currently occupied. Earth is classified as a death world, she said, not just because of its dangerous flora and fauna, but because of what it produces. Humanity is its most formidable creation, a species that turns survival into an art form. A female opticien tilted her head, her clawed fingers drumming on the desk. So, humans are dangerous because of their environment. Partially, Miss Ricky conceded, but there's more to it. Humans don't just survive, they thrive in adversity. They've carried the lessons of their world into the stars. Their history is a tapestry of conflict and innovation, pain and progress. It has made them both terrifying and remarkable. As the display dimmed, Miss Ricky leaned against her desk, folding her arms. We'll continue this discussion next time. For now, consider this. Humanity's nature isn't just about violence. It's about adaptability, resilience, and an unyielding drive to overcome. The same traits that make them dangerous also make them exceptional. The class sat in stunned silence, their collective curiosity growing into a burning need to understand the enigmatic species called humans. The seeds of intrigue had been sown, and Miss Ricky knew the revelations yet to come would only deepen their fascination and their unease. The nature of predators. The classroom buzzed with a mix of curiosity and unease as Miss Ricky continued her lecture. The holographic display now showed three starkly different human figures: a somber mother cradling her child, a battle-hardened soldier staring resolutely into the camera, and a chilling mugshot of a woman in an orange prison jumpsuit. Each image held its own story, and the students leaned forward, eager to unravel the mystery of these so-called types of humans. Miss Reiki gestured to the first figure, the mother. Let us begin with the reluctant killer. These humans are the closest to what many of us would consider normal. They are peaceful by nature and prefer to avoid conflict. Yet, when pushed, when their lives, their children, or their communities are threatened, they transform into fierce protectors. She tapped her display, and a video began playing. In it, a human woman could be seen shielding her child from a wild predator, a large, bear-like creature native to Earth. Despite her fear, the woman wielded a makeshift spear, her movements calculated and precise. With a single, desperate strike, she drove the predator away. The students gasped in awe. This transformation is not born of desire but necessity, Miss Ricky explained. The reluctant killer does not seek violence but will embrace it when all other options are exhausted. These individuals often suffer greatly after taking a life, wrestling with guilt and sorrow. However, their resilience is remarkable, and they often emerge stronger, more determined to protect what they hold dear. A Carlin student tilted his scaled head, his jewelry clinking softly. This seems admirable, even noble. Surely, most humans fall into this category. Miss Ricky shook her head. Unfortunately, no. While many humans share these traits, the majority align with our second type, the judicial killer. The hologram shifted to the image of the soldier, his face marked with a long scar. His eyes, though calm, betrayed a hardness that spoke of years of experience. The judicial killer, Miss Ricky began, is a true predator. These humans are methodical and disciplined, trained to end lives with precision and purpose. They do not relish violence, but they do not shy away from it either. To them, killing is a means to an end, a necessary action to uphold their principles. She displayed a series of images: soldiers in battle, carefully advancing through enemy lines, police officers subduing dangerous criminals, a human pilot dropping supplies into a war zone, armed just in case. Humans of this type operate within a moral framework, Miss Ricky continued. They are governed by protocols, rules that dictate when and how they engage in violence. These protocols often align with values like protecting the innocent, upholding justice, or defending their territory. The students exchanged glances, fascinated by this moral code. A Jinn student raised her floral engraved hand. What happens if these protocols are broken? Miss Ricky's voice darkened. When these protocols are violated, whether by harming the innocent, betraying trust, or threatening their loved ones, a judicial killer becomes a force of unparalleled destruction. They will act swiftly and decisively, often showing no mercy to those they perceive as monsters. The hologram shifted to a series of clips showing human children at play. They were mock-fighting with sticks, yelling commands, and even simulating battlefield formations. The students watched, puzzled. One Carlin, his jeweled neck shimmering under the classroom lights, tilted his head. Are they training? Miss Ricky chuckled softly. Not formally. No. Humans call this rough and tumble play. To them, it is a natural part of childhood, a way for their young to learn boundaries, teamwork, and even empathy. They test their limits and, in doing so, establish an understanding of what is too much. She pointed to a clip where a child stopped mid-swing, realizing he had hurt his playmate. He immediately dropped his stick, apologized, and helped his friend to their feet. This, she said, is the foundation of their protocols. From a young age, humans learn the difference between acceptable force and harm. They are taught restraint, not by strict rules, but by experience and correction. A Jinn student raised her hand, her mask glinting in the light. But what happens when these protocols are broken? You mentioned earlier that such actions can activate a human's predatory instincts. Miss Ricky's expression darkened. Indeed, when their protocols are violated, humans are capable of extraordinary and often terrifying acts. Let me give you an example. She tapped her display, and a new video began playing. It showed a marketplace on a bustling space station. An alien child, a Yupal with delicate feathered limbs, was being harassed by a group of brutish traders. They pushed and taunted the child, eventually knocking them to the ground. The students gasped, their outrage evident. Then a human appeared in the frame. He was unarmed and wore simple clothing, but his presence was commanding. He approached the group, speaking calmly at first. The traders ignored him, one even shoving him aside. But when they kicked the child, everything changed. The human's movements were swift and precise. Within seconds, he had incapacitated all 8 traders, his fists and feet a blur of calculated strikes. When the leader of the group drew a weapon and grabbed the child, the human disarmed him and used a broken stall post to pin the trader to the ground. The display froze on the aftermath. The child clinging to the human's leg, the traders sprawled across the marketplace floor. This incident, Miss Ricky explained, is known as the premier market incident. The human, a civilian, acted not out of personal gain, but because he saw an innocent being harmed. To him, the traders had broken the most sacred of protocols, to protect the vulnerable. His response was immediate, overwhelming, and, dare I say, justified. The students were silent, their expressions a mix of awe and apprehension. Finally, a Ural student murmured, "They do not just protect their own. They protect everyone." "Exactly," Miss Ricky said, her tone both reverent and cautionary. "This is the duality of humanity. Their protocols are not species-specific. They extend to anyone they perceive as innocent or defenseless. But this inclusivity makes them unpredictable. You never know when a human might decide that you are worth defending or punishing." She gestured to the soldier's image once more. The warrior's code is what makes humans both invaluable allies and formidable enemies. They fight not just with weapons, but with conviction. When they believe in a cause, nothing, not even the vastness of the stars, can stop them. As the hologram dimmed, Miss Ricky turned to her students. Now tell me, does this make humanity less frightening, or more? The question hung in the air, unanswered, as the students contemplated the weight of what they had learned. A predator among us. The classroom's atmosphere grew heavy as Miss Ricky turned to a darker subject, her usually calm demeanor tinged with unease. She tapped her palm, and the holographic display shifted again, this time to a chilling image. The mugshot of a human woman in an orange jumpsuit, her cold, unfeeling eyes boring into the viewer. The students shifted uncomfortably, sensing a shift in the lecture's tone. While most humans are governed by their moral codes and their capacity for restraint, Miss Ricky began, her voice subdued. There exists a rare and deeply troubling subset of their kind, the rogue predators. The image on the display changed to a news clip from a Confederation archive. A calm human voice narrated a series of crimes committed on a distant station. The footage showed a string of violent incidents. Confederation scientists found dead in their labs, alien traders slaughtered in their stalls, and entire corridors left eerily silent as fear spread like wildfire. These individuals are anomalies, even among their own species, Miss Ricky continued. They are humans who kill not for survival, not for justice, but for pleasure, power, or chaos. Unlike the judicial or reluctant killers, rogue predators operate without protocols. To them, life is a game, a puzzle to manipulate and destroy. A Jin student raised one of her floral engraved forearms. How common are they? Miss Ricky hesitated, her gaze fixed on the display. Rare, incredibly rare. But their rarity does little to comfort those who have encountered them. Even one rogue predator can wreak havoc on a scale that the galaxy is often unprepared to handle. She tapped her palm again, and a new scene played. The footage was shaky, captured from the body camera of a security officer responding to a disturbance in a quiet residential sector. The officer entered a dimly lit apartment, only to find a horrific scene. Alien families cowering in corners, their doors forced open and belongings ransacked. In the center of the room stood a human woman, her hands raised in mock surrender. She smiled faintly, as if amused by the chaos she had caused. What happened next is a matter of public record, Miss Ricky said, her voice steady despite the gruesome subject. The woman resisted arrest and managed to escape, leaving a trail of devastation in her wake. She was later captured, but not before inflicting irreparable harm on several communities. A Ural student, her fur rippling with distress, asked, "Why do they do this? What could drive a human to such monstrous behavior?" Miss Ricky's gaze softened as she turned to her class. That is the question that has plagued Confederation researchers for decades. Some believe rogue predators are born with abnormalities in their brains, mutations that strip them of empathy and morality. Others argue that their violent tendencies stem from trauma, neglect, or other environmental factors. The truth, however, remains elusive. The students murmured among themselves, their voices a mix of fear and fascination. A Carlin student spoke up, his voice tinged with skepticism. If they are so dangerous, why does the Confederation allow humans to remain among us? Miss Ricky straightened, her expression resolute. Because, for every rogue predator, there are countless others who embody the best of humanity. The reluctant and judicial killers vastly outnumber these anomalies, and even among their own kind, humans do not tolerate the existence of rogue predators. They pursue them relentlessly, often with a ferocity that rivals the crimes these individuals commit. The hologram shifted again, this time showing a human-led task force apprehending a known rogue predator. The scene was intense, with soldiers working in perfect coordination to subdue their target. Despite the predator's cunning and brutality, they were no match for the team's precision and determination. This, Miss Ricky said, gesturing to the display, is why the galaxy must not judge humanity by its worst examples. For every rogue predator, there are humans who dedicate their lives to hunting them down, ensuring they cannot harm others. A Jinn student tilted her masked head. So they hunt their own. Miss Ricky nodded. Yes, they view rogue predators as a stain on their species, a threat not only to others but to their collective identity. To humans, such individuals are not just criminals. They are aberrations that must be eradicated. The students fell silent, processing the dichotomy of humanity. Finally, a young opticon, his voice hesitant, asked, "What can we do to protect ourselves?" Miss Ricky's gaze swept over her class. Understand them. Learn their protocols. Most humans operate within clear boundaries, boundaries you can respect to ensure your safety. But remain vigilant. Rogue predators are rare, but they exist, and they do not follow the rules. If you suspect you are dealing with one, seek help immediately. Do not confront them alone. The display dimmed, and Miss Ricky stepped back behind her desk. Remember this lesson, my students. Humanity is not defined by its predators, but by its response to them. Their capacity for good far outweighs the darkness of a few, but it is up to us to navigate this complexity with wisdom and caution. The students exchanged somber glances, their perception of humanity forever altered. In their minds, the question remained, were humans the galaxy's greatest hope, or its most dangerous gamble? Predators with a purpose. The room remained steeped in contemplative silence, but Miss Ricky sensed the spark of understanding kindling among her students. She smiled faintly, a mix of pride and somber realization etched into her alien features. Tapping her palm, the holographic display illuminated once more, casting images of humans in moments of heroic triumph, pulling comrades to safety, protecting alien civilians in war zones, and standing steadfast against insurmountable odds. While we have spoken of humanity's predatory nature, Miss Ricky began, her voice resonating with a newfound gravity, we must now consider how they wield this nature with purpose. Despite their reputation as the galaxy's most dangerous predators, humans are also among its greatest protectors. The display zoomed in on a famous photograph. A human soldier, his armor scorched and battered, standing alone against an advancing daemon swarm. In one arm, he cradled an injured alien child. In the other, he held a weapon aimed resolutely at the approaching enemy. This is Captain Elias Granger, a figure celebrated in both human and Confederation history. During the siege of Axion Prime, the daemon launched an overwhelming assault on the refugee camps. While many soldiers retreated to fortify their defenses, Captain Granger made a fateful decision. Miss Ricky paused, allowing the weight of her words to settle. He stood alone on the front line, buying precious minutes for the civilians to evacuate. Despite being gravely injured, he did not falter. His actions saved over 3,000 lives, though they cost him his own. The students murmured among themselves, their expressions a mix of admiration and disbelief. A Carlin student raised his clawed hand. Why would he do such a thing? Surely, retreat would have been the logical choice. Miss Ricky inclined her head. To many of us, yes, but humans do not always operate on logic alone. They are deeply driven by emotion, by loyalty, by love, by an unyielding sense of duty. In Captain Granger's mind, protecting those lives was worth any sacrifice. This is the essence of a human predator with purpose. They fight not out of malice, but to shield what they hold dear. The display shifted to a new scene, this one taken from a war-torn planet's surface. A group of human engineers worked tirelessly to restore a water purification system, surrounded by alien villagers who watched with awe and gratitude. The caption read, Operation Hopewell, Humanitarian Aid on Arroyo VI. Not all battles fought by humans involve weapons, Miss Ricky continued. Their predatory instincts extend beyond combat. They hunt for solutions, tirelessly pursuing ways to mend what has been broken. Whether it is rebuilding war-torn worlds, curing galactic diseases, or negotiating peace among warring factions, their drive to protect and heal is as relentless as their capacity for violence. A Ural student raised her paw, her ears twitching with curiosity. But doesn't this duality make them unpredictable? How can we trust a species capable of such extremes? Miss Riki's gaze softened as she addressed the question. Trust, my dear students, is a complex matter. Humanity's duality is not a flaw. It is a strength. Their capacity for destruction is matched only by their capacity for creation. To them, the two are intertwined. They destroy what threatens the innocent, but they rebuild in its wake, often better than before. She tapped the display, which now showcased a vibrant, bustling marketplace on a once devastated planet. The sign above the market bore human and alien script, reading, "A joint endeavor, built by many, protected by humans." "Consider this," Miss Riki said, gesturing to the image. After the Confederation's war with the Daimler, human-led reconstruction teams became the cornerstone of recovery efforts. They didn't just rebuild cities, they fostered relationships, forming bonds that transcended species and culture. A Jin student tilted her mask-clad head. It sounds almost altruistic, but what motivates them? Surely they gain something from these efforts. Miss Riki chuckled softly. Ah, an excellent question. Humans are indeed complex. While altruism plays a significant role, they are also driven by a deep need for purpose. Their history on Earth was marked by struggle, against nature, against each other, and against themselves. They thrive when they have a cause to rally behind, a problem to solve. To them, purpose is as vital as air. The hologram shifted again, this time to a human-led peacekeeping mission. In the footage, human negotiators worked tirelessly to mediate a ceasefire between two warring alien factions. Despite the tension and the clear hostility directed toward them, the humans remained calm, their resolve unshaken. "This is perhaps their greatest gift," Miss Riki said, her voice tinged with admiration. "Their ability to bring order to chaos, to turn conflict into cooperation. It is not just their strength or intelligence that makes them formidable, it is their indomitable spirit." The students sat quietly, absorbing the depth of what they had learned. A Carlin finally broke the silence, his jeweled neck glinting under the dim light. "So, they are not just predators. They are guardians." Miss Riki nodded. "Precisely. Humanity's predatory nature is not a curse, it is a tool. When wielded with purpose, it becomes a force for good, a beacon of hope in even the darkest times. But it is up to us to ensure that we understand and respect them, for their trust and loyalty are not given lightly." The hologram dimmed, leaving the classroom bathed in the soft glow of the station's artificial lights. Miss Riki regarded her students with a calm, steady gaze. In the end, humanity's purpose is not theirs alone. It is shared with us all. Their story is a mirror reflecting our own potential for greatness and for destruction. As the students reflected on her words, they began to see humanity in a new light, not as monsters, but as complex, extraordinary beings capable of shaping the galaxy's future. Whether that future would be one of unity or division, only time would tell. Lessons from Earth. The classroom, once filled with murmurs and speculative whispers, now hummed with a heavy silence. The weight of humanity's complexity had settled over the students, but Miss Riki wasn't finished. Her holographic display flickered to life again, this time showing Earth from orbit. A vibrant, swirling sphere of blue, green, and white. "Earth," she began, her voice soft but steady, "is not just the cradle of humanity. It is their forge. Every strength, every flaw, every paradox within humans can be traced back to this world." The students leaned forward, their curiosity rekindled. The display zoomed in, showcasing Earth's diverse landscapes, towering mountain ranges, vast deserts, dense jungles, and storm-tossed oceans. Unlike many of our homeworlds, Earth is what we call a death world. Its environment is harsh, unpredictable, and at times merciless. It is home to venomous predators, catastrophic weather, and a multitude of diseases. For humans to survive here, They had to adapt in ways most of us cannot even imagine. The display shifted again, this time to a herd of animals. Massive, tusked mammoths trudging through snow, their shadows long under the pale sun. The scene then changed to a group of early humans, dressed in furs, wielding crude spears as they stalked the herd. Humans were not the fastest species on Earth, nor the strongest, yet they became the apex predators of their world. How? Through their minds, their teamwork, and their unyielding drive to overcome adversity. Miss Ricky tapped her palm, and the display zoomed in on a cluster of primitive dwellings. Smoke rose from a central fire, around which humans gathered, sharing food and stories. This is where it began. The fire became their sanctuary, their tool, their weapon. It symbolized their ability to conquer the elements, to reshape their environment to suit their needs. A Ural student, her black fur gleaming under the dim lights, raised her paw. But isn't fire a simple thing? Many of our species discovered it too. Miss Ricky smiled knowingly. True, but humans took it further. They didn't just use fire, they mastered it. They forged tools, cooked food, and even used it to ward off predators. It became a symbol of their ingenuity and their defiance of nature's threats. The hologram shifted again, this time to a sprawling cityscape illuminated by millions of lights. The students gasped at the sheer scale of it. Skyscrapers pierced the clouds, vehicles dipped through the air, and rivers of light flowed through the streets below. This, Miss Ricky said, gesturing to the display, is what fire led to. From primitive shelters to towering cities, humanity's adaptability knows no bounds. They learned to not only survive but thrive in the harshest conditions. A Carlin student tilted his scaled head, his jeweled neck glinting. But doesn't such mastery breed arrogance? To dominate their world so completely, is that not dangerous? Miss Ricky's gaze turned somber. It is. Humanity's relationship with their environment is a double-edged sword. Their ability to reshape their world has made them resilient, but it has also led to challenges: climate imbalances, resource depletion, and even conflict over territory. Yet, time and again, they have shown a remarkable capacity for reflection and change. The hologram shifted to scenes of humans restoring forests, cleaning polluted oceans, and launching spacecraft into the void of space. When humans see the damage they have caused, many of them dedicate their lives to fixing it. Their resourcefulness is matched only by their sense of responsibility. A Jin student raised her floral engraved hand. And what of their wars? You said earlier that Earth's history is filled with conflict. Surely this must shape their character too. Miss Ricky nodded, her expression grave. Indeed it does. Thousands of years of warfare have honed humanity's strategic brilliance and resilience. But more than that, it has taught them the value of peace. Every war, every loss, has left scars, not just on their world, but on their collective psyche. From these scars, they have learned empathy, negotiation, and the importance of unity. The display transitioned to an image of a human-led peace conference. Delegates from various alien species sat around a table, their differences momentarily set aside as they worked toward a common goal. Humans have a saying, Miss Ricky continued. Those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Their history, though bloody, is their greatest teacher. It has taught them the cost of division and the power of cooperation. A Carlin student whispered softly, so they are shaped by their world, but also by themselves. Precisely, Miss Ricky said, her voice filled with a mixture of admiration and caution. Earth shaped humanity's body, but their choices shaped their soul. They are the product of struggle, of triumph, of failure and redemption. The display dimmed, and Miss Ricky faced her students directly. And this, my dear students, is why we must learn from them. Humanity's story is not just theirs, it is ours. Their resilience can inspire us. Their mistakes can guide us. And their duality can teach us that even in the harshest conditions, there is room for growth, for hope, and for greatness. The students sat in thoughtful silence, their understanding of humanity deepening with every word. Slowly, one by one, they began to see the truth. Earth's children were not just predators. They were survivors, creators, and perhaps most importantly, teachers. The classroom was still, the air charged with contemplation. Miss Ricky's luminous eyes scanned her students, who now seemed far more introspective than at the lecture's outset. She tapped her display one final time, and the hologram revealed a composite image, Earth shining brightly from space, juxtaposed with a shadowy silhouette of a human figure standing on a desolate battlefield, the ground littered with the remnants of both triumph and tragedy. "Now, my students," Miss Ricky began, her voice low and deliberate, "we come to the most important lesson of all. Humanity, for all its wonders and horrors, is not a force to be understood lightly. They are allies, teachers, and protectors, but they are also a warning." The hologram flickered, showing a historical recording from a galactic war centuries prior. The daemur, a terrifying insectoid species, swarmed across a beleaguered planet. Alien forces fought valiantly, but they were outmatched, their defenses crumbling under the relentless assault. And then the humans arrived. The recording shifted to show sleek human ships entering orbit, bristling with weaponry. Ground troops deployed with stunning efficiency, wielding weapons that seemed to blur the line between science and art. The students watched, captivated, as the humans turned the tide of the battle with ruthless precision. "They came as saviors," Miss Ricky narrated. "They'd brought hope to the hopeless and strength to the weary. The daemur, once thought unstoppable, were routed in mere weeks. Entire species owe their survival to humanity's intervention." The hologram paused on an image of a human soldier, his face streaked with dirt and exhaustion, holding an alien child in his arms. The students stared at the image, moved by the raw emotion it conveyed. But Miss Ricky continued, her tone darkening. Victory came at a cost. The display shifted to the aftermath. Scorched landscapes, cities reduced to rubble, and the hollow eyes of survivors, human and alien alike. The humans' relentless drive to win left no room for mercy. The daemur were exterminated, their entire species wiped from existence. The very allies they fought to protect were left to rebuild their worlds from the ashes of humanity's war machine. The students recoiled at the stark imagery. A Jin student raised her hand hesitantly. "Are you saying they went too far?" Miss Ricky nodded solemnly. "That is precisely what I'm saying. Humanity's strength is also their greatest danger. When they fight with everything they have. They do not hesitate. They do not compromise. And sometimes, in their pursuit of victory, they'd forget the consequences." The hologram shifted again, this time showing humans engaged in peaceful endeavors, tending to wounded allies, rebuilding alien cities, and fostering interspecies diplomacy. But they also possess an unparalleled capacity for redemption. They learn from their mistakes, often at great personal cost. They seek to heal what they have broken, to mend what they have torn apart. A Ural student, her fur shimmering with uncertainty, asked, "Then what should we do? How can we coexist with being so unpredictable?" Miss Ricky met her gaze, her expression calm yet firm. "You must treat them with respect and understanding. Humanity is not to be feared or idolized. They are to be partnered with. When you recognize their strengths, you can channel them. When you acknowledge their flaws, you can guard against them. And when you gain their trust, you will find no ally more loyal." She gestured to the hologram, which now displayed a quote from an ancient human philosopher. "The best way to predict the future is to create it." This, Miss Ricky said, pointing to the words, is humanity's creed. They do not wait for the stars to align. They forge their own destiny. It is both their gift and their curse. If we are wise, we will learn to guide that energy toward harmony, not chaos. The room fell silent, the students deeply engrossed in their thoughts. Finally, a Carlin spoke, his jeweled neck shimmering. "Do they know? Do humans understand how much power they wield?" Miss Ricky smiled faintly, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. "Some do, And those who understand are the ones who change the galaxy, for better or worse. That is why it is our duty to understand them, to work with them, and to ensure their potential is realized responsibly. She stepped back, folding her hands. And so, my dear students, I leave you with this. Humanity is a reflection of us all. They embody our greatest fears and our greatest hopes. To coexist with them is to confront the mirror they'd hold up to the galaxy. A mirror that shows not just what we are, but what we can become. The students sat in contemplative silence, their minds awash with the enormity of the lesson. Slowly, one by one, they began to see the truth in her words. Humanity was not just a force to be studied or feared. They were a force to be reckoned with, a living testament to the complexity of life itself. And as the lights dimmed, the students left the classroom with a profound understanding. Humanity's story was no longer just theirs. It was the galaxy's story now, a tale of survival, growth, and endless possibilities.